Hello future tech leaders, I am Sindhuja. Based on my own experience, I know that learning the right skills can shape our future. What if I say learning was as thrilled as the tech world itself? There we go. A CloudFoundation, that's exactly what you will experience. From day one, you will be immersed in the interactive sessions and expert-led courses that covers most of the widely used technologies in the zone of data science to cloud computing, which brings more light to the life of a techie. I'm so excited to help you and unlock the true potential of a technology. Well, then why to wait? Let's see what it unfolds.
Today we will see how to write a specification. Then we will look into how do you identify there is an assignment. Also, I was just finding my assignment. We will do this assignment also today. But let's see how much time we will get for this assignment. Let's first see how do we write a specification. When I say write a specification, looking into the specification, we will write a HL7 message. Nobody will ask you to do it. It is by default comes from the application who supports HL7 V2 as the data transmission protocol. But there are things I will explain in this way. Let's say you are a developer. And you create an interface. You created an interface, either let's talk about Rhapsody or even in your NET code, Java code, wherever. Now you want to unit test the interface. There are positive scenarios you write and there are negative scenarios also which you handle in your code. Correct? Based on that, there will be chances that you might have to tweak the HL7 message. For tweaking the HL7 message, you should know if I have to tweak a field, a component, a subcomponent, or anything else in a message, how you have to do it. We will learn a very basic segment and writing. Any other segment will be on the same lines. We will look into PID segment, which is talking more about the patient demographics. We will see how do we write a segment. I just opened one HL7 specification. Again, don't worry, what is HL7? We will learn in some time once we are done with the writing a segment. Now see, you understood that HL7 message comprises or consists of groups of segment paired in a logical grouping. This is the logical grouping which is defined as a version v2.6 and this is for HL7. We will look into what is HL7. Let's first see how do we write a segment. You can definitely write a message, then you can pipe, then there will be encoding character. But we'll talk about PID first. If I open PID, how do I write any segment? Segment will always start with 3-digit, 3 characters, which will be known as segment ID. That is the segment ID I have written and it is for PID. Then I know it has to be the next field. What is the field separate? It's a pipe. I will put a pipe. Now, what do you have to do? You have to go to. Let's first see how do we read this specification. Let's say someone tells you that you will be receiving a HL7, which is a patient admission notification message. What all segments you can expect? The segment listing all is present here, MS, ACE, FHIR, US, CVM, PI, PD1 and all. If you continue to scroll down, there are many segments till PDA. These all segments can be part of that HL7 message. But yesterday Sahil showed a sample which had only 4 segments. How did that happen? That happened because of two things. One is, it is number of occurrences. It is number of occurrences of an entity. I am marking it as entity because this term is not only specific to H7 V2 or FHIR or C, D or D FHIR. It is a generic term which can be applied in any coding standard. Number of occurrences of an entity. Here the entity would be your segment, then your field, then your component, and then your component. We will talk about all of these. Now, how do you read or how someone can define the cardinality? There are multiple ways. We will talk about two ways. First, there is something known as a way like this. This is how FHIR defines. You can find a specification where cardinality is defined in this way also. And it is again not a FHIR rule, not HL7 rule. It is a generic term. This is, as I was saying, person can define cardinality in multiple ways. We will talk about two different ways where how the cardinality is defined. This is the way how FHIR has defined the cardinality, and this can be applied to a JSON or APS Swagger document as well. We will talk about writing the specification. When we say writing a specification, we were working on PID segment. Let's look into the PID. We will write one segment. PID segment. If you can see, these are all different fields. That is the correct answer. Yes. Now let's look into how do we write a set. Again, nobody will definitely ask you to write a sample, but as I said, something for a unit testing that you need to tweak a field. What value you can add. That is where you should understand how the specification works. This is PID, one which says this, and another thing. If I just go back, each segment also has a name. Let's talk about the segment message. That name is given as message header, PID. What we are working on, it is patient identification. Why I took this segment? Because you will be able to relate with the details present in this segment. There is something known as set ID. Let's look into set ID. You can read the theory part, all which is mentioned here, but let's look into what is set ID. What you need to do is it says some length is there. This length means it can only accommodate 4 characters. It is optional. You can definitely do pipe and say, I don't want to keep it, but let's say if you want to add it, what it is. It says this is the data type. Your PI D1 is of 4 characters. It is of optional. The cardinality is optional. It cannot repeat. We will talk about how do we repeat. Now it cannot repeat. It is optional. You can definitely put pipe and go to the next page. But in case you want to populate it, what is the value you can add? It says you can talk about non-integer value. It says maximum of 4 length. It allows a number between 0 to 99. Usually wherever you will find most of the segments, you will find there will be a set ID present. It is the incremental number which will tell the repetition of that segment. Whether the segment repeats or not, that only depends upon the cardinality. It will. Now, it is not a rail. It will always start with 1. You can definitely put 0, but it is a preferred way to put 1. That person knows that this is the first occurrence of PID segment. There will be another messages, for example, merge message. If you talk about merge message, there will be 2 PID segments there. The other PID which will come there, it will be 2. It will be the incremental number which is given to the each number. Another thing, if you see the OBs right, this is also a set. ID, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3. This is the incremental number given just for the readability and other application, and to let other application know that this is the first occurrence. This is the second occurrence. Any questions on this? If no, then I will move to the next one. The next one says it is the patient ID. If I go to this one, PID2, it says 2020 character, but it says it is of type CX. It talks about data types. There are huge data types which are defined within HL7. We will only talk about what is present in this specification and reading and writing. The data type is also on same lines. You can read in your free time. Those 4 books are for H7 FHIR certification exam also. Please go through those books if you are planning to enroll for the certification. Now, how do I write PD2? I need to go to the data type. Let's see if I go to the data type, what it says. There is a concept of primitive data type and a complex data type, and it is not again taken from HL7 or H7 or V2 FHIR. It is a generic term which exists in the normal coding standard. Also, if there are childs present. If I click on Psi, it just told me that it is of 4 characters and you can choose a value out of it. It allows a value from 0 to 99999. It is of primitive data type as there are no further childs available. Now if I clicked on CX, it is the data type name. Is also their extended composite ID with check digit. If you click on it and you find that there are further childs to it, that means the data type is complex. Now if you find childs, that means these are the components present within the field. Now how do you write these IDs? Now let's say this is CX1 within the data type within PID2. It is of CX data type. And how do you define the data type? It says it is ID, it is maximum of 15 character and it is string. It is required. Can I skip it? No, I mandatorily have to write it. It is a patient ID. Let's say hospital has given a prefix of MRN and they have said it will start 1001 and they will just put +1, +1. +1 for the next patient which will come in the hospital. Now, as I have told you, these are the components present within the field. Next thing, what should I add here that I am capable of writing? CX2 caret beautiful. It is caret which is a component separator. It is identified check digits. It is a 4 character. It is again ST. Data type is a string data type. If anybody knows string data type, you can write anything in string, anything English in the Punjabi special characters, anything and everything is allowed in string data type. Now it is a 4 character. I will just type test because it is of string. Anything can be there. Now this is check digit scheme. Let's first see if some values are there. Beautiful check digit scheme says it is of 3 characters. It follows ID data type. One more point I will add to ID data type is C. HL7 has defined a standard. What HL7 has done is they have said this is a message structure. They have also declared some enums for couple of either a field, either a subcomponent or a subcomponent. What it means is wherever you will find a data type which will say ID, it will. It means that HL7 has already declared the enums. Where you can find those enums? It will be present in a table number 1061. I think I have already opened it. It is 1061 and what value you need to take? You need to take the value which is written under value. Let's say I know ISO, I will just use ISO. Again, this is all from hospital background. What values they will take? But in case you need to tweak a sample, This is how you need to do it next. Now let's go back to anything else. We will look into this HD data type assigning authority. It is hierarchical designator. This is the data type name. If I will click on it, I need to identify whether it is primitive or complex. Again, it is optional. Feel free to skip it. That is. Now it says namespace. What does namespace ID means? And one more thing, there is another data type which is IS data type, which says user defined data types, which means that hospital can declare some enums and can be stored in this table even if you click on it. It is if this table is empty, because this needs to be populated by the user. In this case, the user is hospital, as hospital is going to generate the patient IDs. Namespace ID, let's say the namespace ID is IS data type. I would just say notepad++. Another caret namespace ID. I am just saying it is a good health hospital. That is my namespace ID which I am passing. Now anybody who will tell me what should I write? That I can write hierarchical designator to %, because it is % beautiful. It is %. I will write here. And what is universal? It is saying it is a string. I will just brief about one concept within what I learned during my initial days. Whenever hospital registers themselves on HL7 they will get a void. It is organizational ID which looks something like 1.2, 3.2, some numbers, something like this. It will look something like this, and usually you will find a universal ID along with the namespace here. I have just mentioned a void and it is 1999 character, then universal ID type. Who has declared that void? We will go here. It says there is another table present. I will just take it and I will just populate it. And another %. I will put it ISO. Now import. Important part is there is something on a C. What is the C? C is conditional. When I say conditional, it means it is part of two subcomponents here. Two subcomponents is HT2 and HT3. What it actually means that if you are passing a universal service identifier, it is important to tell the end application who has given or who has generated the void for you, and where is that mentioned. It is mentioned in this list, for example, just very generic term, and you will hear it a lot from me when we will move to FHIR. It is known as assigning authority or a system assigning authorities. Who has given you that value? For example, in hospital context, let's say a patient, Sahil, went to a good health hospital and good health hospital has given the amaranth of the patient is amaranth Zazen 1. The assigning a universal ID type will be a part of one of this list. Namespace ID will be good health hospital. Universal ID will be your ID when you registered on HL7. If you have not registered, it is of string data type. Feel free to create your own node. It will be a unique quid. Or even if you type good health hospital, that is also fine because it is a string data type. Now moving to the next one. I have taught you 3 to 4. I think I can teach you. We will go back to the other fields also. Now writing of one more concept of when we are writing the sample. I will explain one more concept what Ellison has declared. That concept is now, let's say we only wrote the C, we only wrote till here HX4, we wrote till here. Do I need to mandatorily add carets for this one? Any guesses? Yes, no, maybe. For example, all of these are optional. Should I add carets for all of these empty fields? But what if I add, let's say, there are how many? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This is one more. If I add something like this, even if it is one extra, that is there a problem? Or it should be mandatorily empty. Both are. Now talking about one more concept let's talk about this concept. I will just take this only as an example. Then we will write another field. If now it is on the same lines. What HL7 says, if you don't have a data to be populated either in field I, let's talk about first fields. If you don't have a data which needs to be populated in the field and those fields are optional, feel free to remove those fields. Feel free to remove those fields. Now P8 free through. I hope that will be if I skip it. You just copy. People can ask why there are multiple PID segments. It is basically if patient, it is not like patient will have only one men. Patient can have multiple identifiers. Or on the other hand side, let's say Apollo says that they have written a code that patient it will be marked in PID2. It's a legacy code, even if you see it is kept for backward compatibility. Let's say the hospital was implemented in 2.1 and now they are still upgrading to 2.6. They can still place the men of the patient in PID2 and it will work. It is mandatory. They can just copy paste the same menon in PID3 and it will again work. Now very important part. We'll see the repetition. We will see, but not for patient identifier. Let's look into the patient name. How do I know? When yesterday I was showcasing you one example, right? Judo or Mickey Mouse, something here, Mickey Mouse. How do I know that? Mouse is the first name, Minnie is the last name, or S is the middle name, something. How do I know how? As an end application, I should know that whatever I am getting, it is in what sequence. It is, we will just go to, this is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I am in the fifth one. This is the fifth field. This definitely, you can do it in the Sedit or HL7 tool. But just to improve your focus, I am doing it on Notepad++, and again, you don't have to write a message ever. It is just tweaking a message what you want for your unit testing. P. Let's look into the XPN data type. It is required. I am adding the data there. PID3 it is required. I am not writing because you now know how to write a CX data type. Now I am writing the XPN data type, which is, I think, extended patient name, something that is the extended person name. There is a plugin available online. Feel free to download this HL7 plugin. It is just beautifying the data on the Notepad++. Get it? And it says given name. It is of type string and you can write anything. In this case, Mickey is something which we have chosen. We will write Mickey. Whether I have to write ampersand again, that depends upon the data type. It is of string data type and it is primitive in nature. There are no further childs. When I say childs, HIR components and subcomponents associated to it. I have written directly Mickey. Now second or further given names or initials thereafter. For example, if you have a middle name, I don't have it. What should I do? I will just keep up blank. If you have it, please feel free to add something like whatever middle name you have. It is a string, data type suffix. It is also strings, also string, all of this. Degree is data type. When I say is data type, it is user defined data type. Hospital has to provide some enums and that needs to be validated. Against this one, we can look into the name type code 7. Enum in the sense of degree, see. HL7 has a standard for interoperability for exchange of clinical data. That is where HL7 is not defined, enums. When I say enums, it is a fixed set of values for degree. What else am I do? Defining the degrees BTech, let's say that you defined a degree as BTech, BMTech me, but the patient is not even graduated. That is where that option is given to the hospital. That wherever there is a variability, that data type is defined is a user defined data type, and that data type has to be fulfilled by the hospital. Those enums needs to be fulfilled by the hospital. Now on the same lines, name type code. It is the seventh component. If I see this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is, let's add for 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I am at 7th. 7th, as I said, it is of a data type. There is a table defined and it is HL7 defined table. Another thing, did I copy the tables also? All HL7 defined released books are available here. These are all the released versions, are talking about the latest one. That is what I have given you. I have not given you all the books because it has unwanted information. I have given you the important ones. There is one which says tables. If I just open this table and if you search with that table number, if you just search with that table number, where are we? The table number is 00200. Control of 0200. There is a table already defined what all values it will hold. It is all mentioned in this table. This is a table. What value you need to pick. Another thing, if you think characteristics has defined all the values, answer is definitely no. This is just a reference point. What is the right set of values available? You need to go to the HL7 specific books. These are the specific books. Let me first share you the link also that you will have the entire content. This is where the values are already defined. If I scroll down and you need to adhere to one of the values, let's pick one of the values. You can take a let. In this case, let's take legal name, which is LNotepad++, and I will mark here as L. Can I remove these components? I don't have data. No, we cannot do it after this. If you don't have data, feel free to add carets or don't even add carets. That is totally fine. Now let's look into one more interesting concept. This is write that I am in the P87th field. This thing, you understand correct? Yes, I am in the 7th one. The field name is date, time of birth. You don't have to write it. It is just a name given to a field. It says it is of 24 character. Whether that value is correct or not, you need to look into the data type document. Then you will understand. Now it follows DTIM data type, which is date time. The name of the data type is date time. I am just clicking on it. I am holding here. This is date time data type and there are no further childs. What do you think? It is primitive or complex? It is primitive. Beautiful, it is primitive. Now what it says, you can read. It says specifies a point in time using 24-hour clock notation. This will be clear to you, right? Whatever date and time, for example, a patient date of birth, you can only give what format you need to give. They've also given, I will talk about this 24-hour clock notation. What they have done is, they're saying this is the format you need to adhere to. We'll talk about this format. This is a regex which they have given. A regex is a regular expression. I will make it more easier for you. Whatever is without, if there is no x, not to use anything. If there is no brackets. If there is no square bracket, that is mandatory. Square bracket means it is optional. whether you want to use it, that is. Now we are in the 7th field. This is here, Deepa. This is here. Y is your 4th character. That means 20. If my birth is to 1991, I will write 1991 here. Makes sense. Now, if patient is willing to tell what time he was born, feel free to add that. Also, how do you add it? There is no hyphen and all anything like that. Let's say, I don't know what time I was born. I will just add some random numbers. I is hours, it is 24 hours format. Let's say I said early morning, is minutes, this M is minutes. This, when it says minutes of 60 minutes, you cannot write 61. It will give you a passing logic error. Anything within 60 unit, right? I will. I'm just writing 20 seconds. Again, it's a 60-minute clock, 60 seconds. I will just try 21. Again, one thing you need to understand is HL7 is not defined only for one hospital. One hospital, they might keep it optional. One hospital, they might make it mandatory. That is where standard is there. You need to adopt that standard. Makes sense. Standard is there, you need to adopt that. I mean, when I say you, it is hospital needs to adopt that standard and in their application. Now, one more point you brought in is how is this information capture? What I understand, I have not been to us. What I feel is, this is what my experience. Experience also goes because we also work on a lot of applications which are deployed on the US context. Let's say this is a patient registration information. This is all the text fields which are there. Whenever you fill a form, right, you might see that some of the fields are marked as mandatory correct even if you cannot submit that form. Those business logics needs to be applied on the UI. When I say UI behind the scene, it's a code only. When the patient will fill the details, a HL7 message will be generated. Now, whatever mandatory fields you have in yours, same mandatory fields will be part of your HL7 message also. Now, going back to the same one. Now, next one is, there is a dot that you have to write. There is a dot. This is merely milliseconds. 3 milliseconds you need to write. The milliseconds goes till 1000, but it is 0 to 999. When 1000 comes, it is the next millisecond turn. You can write anything 890. Anybody knows what is. This might have worked on apps which are deployed between cross countries. It is a time zone offset. It's a time shift between from. It is a time shift between multiple countries. Just like India's time zone is Zoo 530, sorry, no colon and all. This is the in. This is the entire full-fledged date time. Most of the hospitals only will send you till here, but it is if you receive it because standard says you can send it. Make sense or still? It was complicated. A very good example. This is why I get paid when I work for my company, where I work on integration engine. The one application is sending the data which is in a different format. Let's say the format is the entire format, this one. This is a very basic use case. A lot of time this happens. I will tell you this happens a lot of time. Let's say the hospital information system sent me the entire value and the end application works on HL7 only, but they don't accept the entire format. Or they have created their own apping smell, JSON or any other format, and they only accept till here. Or a very good example, what people do is they will say we accept a message in this format. This is why I get paid when I work on integration engine and I do this manipulation or stretching manipulation and I get paid for all of these. This is a very basic use case. A lot of complex things happens there. Now let's move to something else. Patient 6. Now here it says it is one character. Now when I move, this is 7, this is 8. This is 8. Patient administrative 6. This is his data type. Hospital has full-fledged privilege to define the enums and it should be only of one character. It will be M for male, F for female and they can define U for other, A for me, BQ is anything, T for transgender, all of these XP and name. I would like to show you something of with respect to repetition. That is where I will take something of addresses. I can be repeated. You can write address also. It is on the same lines. There will be some components you can write. Definitely write it. I think all of them asked data type. All of them asked data type. This is a set. Within, it is all data type. You can definitely write any of these. Moving to the phone number. I want to showcase phone number. Why I am taking it is because it is repeating and it is of XT in data type. Let's see how do you write 13. Just considering this is the 13th field. I'm going to write XT in data type. This is XT. I'll open this XT in. There are many components within it. I will write phone number. Let's say this is a phone number use code. Now this is a use code. If you are aware that there can be an official phone number, there is a usual phone number. There is a home phone number, SIS. Some phone numbers are. You can define that. This is a type of phone number. If you want to call during my office hours, please call me on my official phone number. If you're calling me after 7 p.m., please call me on my personal phone number. That is where a use code comes into picture. It is a with data type. It is already predefined set of enums, anything I can pick. Let's say PUS. It's a personal phone number I'll just add. What should I add here if I'm writing XT data type? This is XT. One is there. I'm writing XT2. What should I write? It is a component. What is the component? Separator per. I wrote. Now it's equipment type. It might hold. What is the type of equipment? It's a mobile phone cellular. I will just take a CP. I will just take C. I will not write much of the data. The thing I want to explain is all of these. You can write country code and all of that stuff. All of this, what all of them are. I have a data type and the data type can be written by just clicking on it. If you want to write new name, which is, I think, numeric, you just have to write number, integer number, a positive integer number. Now, the concept which I want to showcase is this field is repeating. Can you see? This field is repeating. It is optional, but I want to populate. This field is repeating and I don't want to populate other components of it. I am leaving it blank. I can add carrots also. That is fine, but there is a repetition separator if a field is repeating and that is till. Now, if you want, let's say you want to write another phone number. Let's say there is another phone number. Patient has 900 some numbers. I added use code. Now let's say it's the official phone number. Anything else is there or vacation phone number. This is my vacation or work phone number. I'll add a caret. This is how I will write. And what is the cellular? This is a cellular for only. I will write a CP. This is how. A repetition. Whenever it will be encountered, Whenever a tilde will be encountered, application will again mark it as repeating, and it will be X1 which will be your PA. I think 13.1 P or 30.2 P and or 13.3. That I just explained. If there is a repetition, you need to add it to your message. How do you add it? You understood that. How do you write a component within a field? This was till here Control X. This is this till. Here it is clear. Yes, now as the patient has more than one phone number, or let's say the application is designed to capture more than one phone number, what is going to happen is here. It is repeating, and if you want to repeat that entire field, this is not a segment. If the segment is repeating, what you will do, you will copy paste this entire thing, this one, and change the values correct. This is how the segment will repeat. But now let's considering a field is repeating. If the field is repeating here, what you need to do is you need to add a tilde, and then you will add another phone number whenever. Application will write a passing logic and they will say P.13.1. What values you will expect? You will get two values here. One is this and another one is this, and application will display two values. I did a cut, and application will showcase two values. Same thing goes for this also. Same thing goes for this also. But we are still in the same field. It is. The next field is the business phone number. But if you have a repetition, you can definitely use this as a tilde. Almost all other data types you can write now very easily. Basic is go from left to right, look into the data type, whether it is primitive or complex. Then start writing the primitive or the complex data type based on what it is mentioning in the specification. One point which I think Hayden brought in is sometimes if I just consider this as an example, when you will manually, this happened with a lot of our new interns which they were working on. A couple of use cases given to them. They understood, they have a sample, they just have to tweak it, but without looking into the specification. Let's consider if I add a 01. If I know that add a 01 allergy segment can be added. This is the allergy segment. You can read more about it. If I buy without looking into it, if I add it at the last, is it? Or if I add it before V1. Let's first talk about if I add it here. Is it? If I add it here without looking into the specification, and in the specification says it has to be after PV1. It is not because segments are also logical grouping. It has to be in the proper order. When I say it has to be in a proper order, what message is this? A DT. Is it a 1? All 1 has to be after OBX or in this group. If you talk about PV1, if you are not populating any of these segments, you can skip it. Then after PV1, it is fine. You cannot put it anywhere with your choice. That is where a lot of folks did something like, oh, they added L1 segment anywhere. And then the integration engine definitely will fail because the integration engine works on the EDA schemas. And now let's show you the EDA schemas after this. And it will say I was expecting a PV1 segment and I encountered L1 segment. If you are tweaking a sample, make sure you look into the specification and write the data in the right place. Segments are logical grouping it. Those are related to those are part of single message and placed one after the other in a logical sequence as per the specification. You need to follow the standard If you are saying that you will put PID just before a message, totally wrong concept. If you are saying that the concept wise, if you have to tweak the standard, which most of the hospital do, the only tweaking you can do is that you will say that I want PID3. Let's consider this PID3. I want PID3D to be mere and 100 10 characters, max 10 characters, and the standard says it has to be 20 characters. That is the tweaking or the profiling you can do on top of the standard. How do you do it? This is how we do it. I am just creating one schema for you. The Rhapsody has already downloaded all the schemas from HL7. These schemas are available on HL7. If you see, this is ADT as in one. This is how the actual parsing logic looks like. It has to be in the same sequence. It is required minimum repeats. All are defined here. Each segment has defined each field. Each field has min-max written here. Now let's consider I will. This is a very good example. Most of the hospitals they will. This is the PID segment. Same thing. What you learned there is mentioned in a tabular format. This is the field component number. This is the data type alignment. You leave. This is internal to Rhapsody. This is required. This is the minimum max repeat of all. This is no. This is the max length. Minizero is 4. Minimum repetition, maximum repetition. We talked about HL7, right? There are tables already mentioned. All of these tables are pre-populated behind the scenes, and with that the data which comes, it is validated against the entire EDI schema. This is the schema. You can discard the message saying that this message is rejected because of XYZ reasons. You can mention the reasons also. If you see multiple birth indicator, the lookup table is also. The lookup table where enums are defined is also present. All of these things are already present as a part. All of these lookup tables are present here. What values it holds? It can hold a value. It cannot hold a value. It cannot hold a value in case of IS data type. IS data type is user defined. If it is all 7 defined table, it will definitely hold a value. This is a schema against which the data is validated. And now talk. Coming back to Hayden's question, if you rearrange PID just above MSH, just a very basic example, it will not work because it will throw you an error saying I was expecting SSH at the first place. How can you send me PID? Even the parsing logic in integration engine works with this, only with the sequence. You cannot change the sequence. Only thing which you can change is, for example, as I was saying, that let's say I want, let's go. This is a very common example. That message control ID from coming from hospital is usually long more than 20 characters, but an application says, please restrict it only to 15 characters. That is where we just put a constraint. Either we can trim it there in the integration layer, or we can write a passing logic that it will be 15 characters here, is 15 now. If the data comes more than 15, I will send the acknowledgement back. We'll talk about acknowledgement. We'll send the acknowledgement back to the source. That I'm discarding the message because the EDS schema validation has failed because of message control IDs. More than these characters. Integration engine. I will quickly let's see if I have something for you. Let's try to start this. This here again. This is all Rhapsody. I'm not teaching Rhapsody. I'm just showcasing you a concept. This is internal to my company. You might already know where I work. Please don't, let's not go there. Just talking about what is happening here. Let's see right click. This is start all. Is this also enabled? This is disabled. 8998. What is the port configured? What is the port I configured? 8998. The concept which I want to tell you is how does integration engine identifies that the segment has ended. The concept is even HL7 V2 standard tells that there is a as you have components separated, there is a field separator on the same lines. There is a segment separator also, and that segment separator is carriage return, which in technical terms you will see /r. In technical terms, you will always find a /r at the end of each segment. Anyhow, Rhapsody has a provision that whenever the message segment ID is encountered, it will consider that to be the start of segment. But what is the end of segment? It will always be a carriage return, and only the last segment will not have the carriage return because there is no segment after it. If you are seeing my screen, I sent some sample from a test tool. I sent a sample from a test tool, and if you see, there is a segment separator after each segment except the last one. This is how integration engine identifies that the sample or the segment has ended. Any questions on this front? A very basic one is the segment separator. Just like on the same lines, field separator is pipe, component separator is caret subcomponents. Separators me %. There is a segment separator, also /r, which you will not see when we'll have it on notepad, for example. If you want to see it here, how you can do it is, you might not have it because I have C. Or if you see, now can you see C? R is nothing but a carriage return. Carriage return will be printed on my Rhapsody as /r. That is how the data processing works in Rhapsody integration engine, that is in other integration. Murph also works on the same lines, that there is a carriage return and it will encounter that there is a next segment present. And then what is the next segment? It will find the segment I encoding characters. You already know. Now it is a message. .2 is encoding characters. Those are the special characters which HL7 has defined, which are utilized within the scope of creating a HL7 message. Now you already know that a message 2 is nothing but your encoding characters. This is the list of encoding character. There is one more. We will talk about this hash, but as of now, you just see it is a caret till / and %. These are the list of encoding characters. And finally, do not forget to like, share and subscribe to our channel.